Okay, so last time we met, we spoke about the Inno app, which is a mobile version of the app. It's mostly used for you guys to use in the field, even when you're offline, to fill out the information that we need from the field. Okay, so if you're not 100% sure how to use the Inno app, I suggest that you just watch the video that last week's video, and if you still have any questions, just contact me. Okay, so like I said, in the Inno app, you fill out forms. These forms feed what we call the database. Okay, have any of you entered the database? Tried to use it? I know Sheila has.
Yes, I have tried to check the database, and I have edited some of the results last week.
Okay, cool. So this is the project page of the database, okay? Every row here is a project. And let me just take Uganda as an example for this session. So you can see only your country. Just a second. Okay, you will see the projects from your country. Every time you submit a form, the information from the form is going into the database automatically. Anything that's changed in the database is changed in the form, and everything that's changed in the form is changed in the database. So anything you submit is automatically updated to this huge database that we have. And then depending on what's important for you guys to see, we try to build you guys views that you can see all the most important information that you need. Okay, so I'm gonna go over it bit by bit. So this is the project page. Okay, in the project page, you have here a drop down of different views. Okay, these views are public for everyone, and these are views that you built. Okay, so let me just log in as a water quality specialist. Okay, before it was my user, now I'm entered as a water quality specialist. So I have these public views, okay, that everybody has, and a few views that is built specifically for you by Reut, which is water quality tracker, water quality for in-process projects, and for completed projects. Okay, so what's important to understand in these views in the database? One, that everything comes from the forms and is constantly updated by the forms. For example, parameters at field is exactly what you put in the forms. If I double click on something, I can add the information from here. This probably doesn't have a form, but I can add more fields from here. Anything I change will be changed in the form. So if, for example, I want to add pH to this project, and I update, so I'll update the form as well. Okay. You can use a database, and every column basically you can filter by the column. Okay, so if I press this black filter logo, for example, I want to filter by specific district, so I can look for a specific district and have a filter of it. Okay, whatever is in red has a filter. If I want to undo the filter, all I do is reset. Okay, so depending on what you're looking for, you can go to the column that you need and filter the column. Okay, you have your information. For example, you want sample type, only physiochemical samples. So you can filter by it. Okay. Additionally, you can make the columns wider if you need to. Okay. Change the order of the columns if you want to see this next to the projects. Sorry, you want to see the sample type next to the project name. So you can just drag it over. Yeah, you want to see the completion date, so you can just open this or make it narrower, whatever you need. Okay, and after you filter and do whatever you want, you can either export to Excel if you need this information. If you want to send to someone, for example, all the physiochemical projects you want to send to someone, you can export it as an Excel and send it to them. Okay, you can save this view as. You have questions, Zalani?
Yes. I wanted to ask, when you are extracting the information or when you're downloading the database, is it going to extract the view, or is going to download the whole database, or what you have filtered?
So we can do an example. Now I filtered for physiochemical and I changed the columns. So I just press on Excel. And wait, I'll drag it over. It's on my other screen. See, here I have 18 projects, right? I bring over the Excel. I have the same 18 projects, all the information as it's shown.
Oh,
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
If I copy paste the part of the last water quality field testing, then it will, like, it actually will link me to the form if I do it from the Excel.
Yeah, it should be just a link. So yeah,
okay.
If you put it here after the iamonitoring.com, it will take you to the form. But it should be just the complete form. Already, it's something that we need to do. Okay, so you can download an Excel, and let's say I want to save this view for whatever reason as my personal view. Like I said, these up top are views that you share with everyone, and these below are views that you build for yourselves. So I can save this view as, let's say, water quality physiochemical samples. Okay, and I have it here in my view. And then next time when I enter the database, I'll have these views, and I'll also have this view, which will show me only the physiochemical parameters. Okay, see? So in my personal views, this is my personal new view. I can change things. I can change, for example, this and save it. So I don't have to save as every time. I can just save the new things that I made. But if it's a public view that you guys share, one of these up top, then you can't save it. It's public for everyone, and only Reut can save it. Okay, if I try to save, it tells me that this view cannot be edited. Because it's something that you all share. Okay. So Excel save as.
Is it clear? Sorry, just to make sure, is it clear to you the differences between your personal view and the global view?
Yes, it is clear to me. Thank you.
Okay, great. So if you have a specific, like, for example, Zolani, for example, now we want to map the project that we have fluorides. So you can look in the lab results where you have fluorides to filter it, for example, where fluorides were failed, assuming that it filled up correctly. And then you can extract it to Excel, and we can look over it, or next I will explain more on the forms themselves. Then you will save it for yourself, because we will share it and discuss it, but the other won't see this view. Just for you to, like all of you, to understand how we can use these tools of your personal views and how to use it and play with it to your own needs, basically.
Yeah, just a common example from my experience. You want to see all the forms, all the projects that you did a field test in 2023. So you go to the forms, you can filter to a date since the beginning of the year. Okay, and maybe you need this often, so you save this view, or you order by this. Order by means that the whole table is ordered by this column. You can do it by pressing one of these two arrows, and you have the projects ordered by projects that you visit in 2023, ordered by the most recent ones that you did. So instead of doing this every time you enter the database, you can just save this view, call it 2023 samples, for example. So, like I said, this is a way you can save the view. So now I'm going to a bit of the most complicated part is the column visibility. Okay, column visibility here, this button. Let me just make it bigger. Is where you can actually add more fields or take off fields, whatever you need. Okay, so for example, if I, for whatever reason, decide that I don't need free chlorine, so I can just exit out. Let's say magnesium, just for example, I can exit out. And I want to know any piece of information. So I can say the additional notes of a project that the country managers or country directors put in. I can add it to my view by checking this and moving it to the left. So it's important to understand on the left is the view, is all the columns that I have in my view. And on the right is all the possibilities that I can add to my view. Okay, so I want to add, for example, the additional notes. Maybe the donor of the project. I'm just giving random examples, but whatever may interest you. Disinfection details, for example. And once I select whatever I need, I move it to the left using this button. Okay, and now they're in my view. Okay, I can maybe change the location, put donors in the beginning. Sorry. Okay, and then I hit modify. And when I select modify, these columns appear in my view. So here's additional notes that I put in and moved. Here's disinfection details. And whatever piece of information I need. Okay, and the donors, that's way up top. So I just added this. So that's the thing with the database. It has a lot of fields. And we kind of give you guys views that can help you do your job. But if you need additional information, it's important that you know how to get it. Okay? You can get the coordinates of a project. Okay, so if let's say, for example, I need the coordinates of a project, I look for coordinates or even part of the word. I hit enter and then it'll color it in red. Okay, add the coordinates. Right? And again, if I want to save as this view and make a view of mine, or if I'm already building a new view, I can just save, right? And update my view to have more information. Okay. And now I'm taking this a step further. So this is general information about a project. Okay, this is on a project level. If you want information from a form, you have to go and enter that form. So in a water project, we have over 1,500 questions. They're not all here. So you have to go and look for the question that you want. Okay, so how do you go? How do you go look for it? This is a drop down of project type. You guys will be usually using 99% of the time the water project type because you're water quality specialists. So I'm going to press water. And then I can see all the forms of a water project like you see in the inner app. Okay, perspective, community, geophysical survey, and etc. So for example, if I want information from a lab test, this is all the questions from the form, from the lab testing form. So let's say I want yield. I can add the yield and modify. Load a second. Then I have here yield. And this is all the answers that you put in from the forms, from the water quality lab sampling form. And this is what you put in. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to add another field, although you don't have to do it every field. You can do it once. I go into this drop down, water project. Go look for the form I need. This is ordered by a project. So in a project, first you have perspective and community, then geophysical survey. It's like chronologically ordered. I go to the form that I want. Let's say I want field testing. I want to know the person taking the sample. I add it. And then I have the information from the forms. Okay. So if you notice what I did here, I actually mixed information from two different forms in the same view. We can also do that in the database. You can take, for example, the driller's yield from the drilling form, and I don't know, microbiological, like total quality form from the water quality form. You can mix from different forms. So just for example, I'm taking now another. I want to know how many solar panels. Just giving an example, although you don't need to know this, how many solar panels are in these projects. I go to electrical supervision. I look for panels. Number of solar panels. I can add it. Sorry. Modify. And where is it now? I think I pressed, wait. Do it again, sorry. Some panels. Okay, I can just see how many solar panels the project has. Not that's relevant to you, but I can take whatever information I want for whatever form I want. Okay.
Can I just add a comment, please?
Yeah, sure.
Just to make sure, and also to make sure that I understand correctly. This mixing of data from different forms is correct for the project views.
Yes. Yeah, I was about to move to, yeah.
So just is about to show you another view, and over there, when you want to add parameters, it's just for the forms. You will get to there, Tal will get to there in 2 minutes, but just it's really important that you understand that when you're mixing, it's just for the projects. Like now we are on the mode of project view.
Yeah. So look at all the fields I've added, additional to the view that Ruth made. And I can either save this, export this to Excel, whatever I need. And like Ruth was explaining, this is a project view. This is the main page. What does it mean that it's a project view? Every row is a project. That's why we can mix and match between the forms, because all the forms are connected to a project. So whatever information I get, I want, it levels out to one project. And here, every row is a project. So I can see the number of projects in the view here. Now I'm going to forms, which is very similar. It looks very similar, but it has a different logic. And I go there by selecting this arrow, project management. Now in the project, I want to go to forms. Okay. So this is forms. And here, every row is a form. Okay, I can have multiple rows of the same project. If I'll just take, for example, project that I know has many forms. Second. Sorry, just a second.
Charles, I think why you can't find Akadot, it's in Uganda and
You're in Tanzania. Yeah.
Selected
Oh,
the
okay.
country Tanzania.
True. Good call. So let's go to, I know, let's see.
Maumi,
Maumi has a lot of forms.
I think. Or here, you saw at the end, Viziesta, something like that. We saw a lot of form in the V, Viziesta.
Which one? Vizesa?
Don't know, this, it seems like that from here.
Okay, so anyway, for example, Moreto Secondary School has 3 community forms, community M&E forms. Okay, it has 3 rows for the same project. Because each row is a different form. If I enter this form, it's not the same as this form. Okay. So here it's broken down into the different forms. You can actually go and look for a form, for example, water quality lab testing. Show you all the forms of your country of this type. It's taking a second. Okay, and it's ordered by the last one that was updated. So in Tanzania, these were updated today from the lab. And you can open the form, specific form. Okay. So basically, when you submit a form, you get an email, and it's going to go into this table. And both your email has a link, and this link takes you to the same place, which is the form on the.
All right. So sorry, Tal. I see something on the form that you have opened. I see that there's you can edit the borehole ID. Can you edit on the database? Because I remember I was talking to Ruth in the morning that there are projects that did not, I mean the results that I did not add the borehole ID. So I just needed to check if can you add the borehole ID here so that I can go back to those results and edit.
If there's no borehole ID, Zulani, who's the geologist in your country?
It's Judith. I was working with Judith when we were updating because apparently it's generated automatically, Yes, there is
Yeah.
a borehole ID on the form or results form. It's just that when I was adding the results, I did not see the borehole ID, and it did not give me an option on the form to type the borehole ID.
Does the
So I'm
project
not
have
sure
a
if
borehole
me.
supervision form?
Yes, it does have the borehole ID. It's just that when I was adding the water quality results, it was not appearing. So I thought maybe if I can add it, because the results do show that there is a borehole ID.
So let me write it down. Basically, you can't edit. It's supposed to be a drop down from existing boreholes. Whenever it's automatically
yes.
generated, and then you have to select one of them. Okay.
All right.
I'll check it out. So basically, you have a view for every type of form that we have. It will always be ordered by the last ones that are updated. Of course, you can look for a village or whatever you need. See who updated it last, and you have some additional information. Okay. So again, I built this with Reut. What kind of sample type is it? If it's a physiochemical, microbiological, or both. What were the parameters that failed? Any comments, dates, and the values. Okay. So this is important when you're doing analysis, because if I go back to projects, sorry if this is confusing, but projects will only show you the last form. If you had, for example, 5 lab forms, it'll only show you the 5th one, the most recent one, right? Because every row is a project, so it can only show you one form. Usually, when you want to do an analysis on the water quality, you have to go to all the samples of a project. So you would want to go to forms where you can see multiple rows for each project, and get the analysis. So let me try and maybe do something here. For example, here Kazoho has 2 water quality lab samples, and I can compare between the 2. Okay, if I just look for it, for example. Just trying to give you an example of maybe an analysis that you might do. Okay, this project, we took 2 lab samples. Now I want to compare them. This one failed E. coli and total coliform. This one didn't, although it does have the same value, so it's probably just, they didn't fill it out here. Okay, has exactly the same values. Kind of strange. Maybe it's done on the same date. So it's 2 forms of the same. But basically, if I had 5 lab samples of the same project, I would see all the values and could compare if the coliform is going down, if it's going up, the conductivity, and etc.
I would just pop in again, and I would say that the database and the form filling, and especially the water quality lab results, we started putting it in, like reporting it into the database in the last year, right?
Yeah, since the beginning of 22.
Since the beginning of 22. So it basically means that there are many, many forms, lab results from previous years when when we just finished completed with construction and so on, that are basically on the drives, but are not on the database. Yeah. And what I would like you to slowly and start fill in also this, because after that, if we really want to use the database as a strong tool and to just take the forms of the last 5 times that it was measured in the lab, and we want to see the results in the database, no need to go to the drive and then go here and then go back. And what was the result 2 years ago? What is the result now? Once we fill in all the forms that are not in the database, we will be able, it will be much a stronger tool for us as water quality specialists. We will be actually able to see much more easily. We will have a situation, we will have a meeting check-in, we will just, you know, filter it by the project, we can see it all together and discuss it. Will be much more efficient, much more easier. So this is an important note. I know it's not like, but slowly, I wish you to start and fill in the forms, especially if we have situation of a project. I'm sorry, it's a little bit out of the training, but especially if we have situation in many projects that now we have issue with, and we are keep on going to the drive to look on the results. If the results were already on the database, it will be much more easier. So you're already going there, you're going to the drive. So if you're going to the drive and check the result, also open a new form. Whenever you're going back to check something already in the drive, because it's not in the database, try to have a new habit to put it in the database as a new project that we like it as an old project, but as a new enter to the database, new entry to the database. Sorry, Tal, thank you.
Yeah, it's just it's true. There's a lot of power of having all the data in one place. Once it's mixed and then you have to search different places, it's very hard for you guys eventually to do an analysis, and that's what you guys want to do. All these samples are eventually so we can do an analysis of what needs to happen in the project. And if it's all in the drive and half in the database or in your head, then it's very difficult. So there's a lot of power to it. Just this is also out of scope, but I'll just show you, like, for us, it's if something's in the database in one place, we can make an analysis, just take the data from the database and have visualizations of it. This is just, for example, trying to look at populations per country over time. If they go, so like orange is perspective forms and blue is community M&E forms. And I can even, I don't know, I can even slice it by project name. And see every project, what was the beginning population and how it grew over time. If I have, and this is something I can do because I have the data of this for a long time. So I'll just out of scope a bit. Okay, so in this dropdown, you have different views. Every view is a form, and you have on the right, if you scroll to the right, additional information from that form. So this is an automatically generated table that just fills up every time someone submits a form. Okay. You can always look at all forms. And if you need to look at some other form, for example, maintenance, you can find it here. And also, like, maintenance has additional information about the maintenance. Okay.
Can you explain them a little bit to confuse you a little bit even more about the difference in the forms of the in-process and the lab?
Yeah, so there's two kinds of forms for water quality. There's in process, right? You have in process when you're sampling when the project is in construction, and you have when the project is completed when you go and monitor. They're almost identical. There's a small differences. Let's take one for example. So, for example, sample label and in process, you're gonna have in the forms, you're gonna have only raw water because you don't have you don't have taps yet, you don't have a tank yet, there's no pump room yet, there's just the borehole. So the option there is only to select raw water. Okay, that's in the forms. Now, after discussing with the OOT, because these two forms are so identical, we decided to kind of combine them into one. Okay, so behind the scenes, they're combined into the same form. That's why even when you select water quality lab testing form, you get water quality lab monitoring, because they're all considered the same form. Maybe you can say a bit about it.
Yeah, so it's not really considered, I guess it's not exactly the same form. The form is still different. It's the same view. And why
Yes.
is that? Because yes, we are having, we do in IA do kind of a differentiation between in process and like after, like we gave it to the community and like completed project. We do this differentiation for our own needs. But when it comes to water quality, actually now when I look at these forms, I actually want to see the first form, the first field form or the first lab form that we did when it was in process. And if we not, let's say, nest them under the same view, we cannot see it. So what we basically do, we kind of nested them under the same view. So actually, if you look at the water quality lab testing and the water quality lab monitoring, it's exactly the same as a view. So I would just tell you, if you want to see just the in process or just the completed, the way to filter it is from the water quality monitoring sampling stage.
Yes.
Whenever it's empty, it means that it's in process. Because when you're doing the monitoring field form, you have to, or lab form, you have to fill up the stage that it's under monitoring. So this is a kind of way to differentiate. This is kind of a compromise. I know it's a little bit confusing, but on the long run, it will, again, it will enable us to see everything on one place. Because at the end, when we're looking at water quality for the long run, we don't really differentiate between if it was in process or if it was completed. We want to see it for the long run. What was happening at 2022, what happened at 2020 June, and what happened in January 2023. We don't really care if it was in process or completed. Like we do, but just for the, so this is why we kind of merge them into one view. I hope it was clear. If you have any question, this is the time.
I'll just explain the alternative, how it was that you had two different views. And if you want to do an analysis of the project, you had to jump to one view and see the in-process form. Okay, and then you jump to the other view and see the monitoring form. And then you had to compare between them instead of having them like this in the same table. You can just compare over time how it changed. Do you guys have any questions?
Junior question.
Yeah.
About the form.
Who's talking? I can't see.
I also don't know. I see everyone is muted, but I hear someone asking a question. Shayla, is it you?
I think it's Shane.
Question kind of got out of the meeting accidentally, but I was asking to Tal, I've failed to access, like I've mentioned to you in the DMs, I can't access the forms. I just wanted to share so that you see maybe what I can only view, so that maybe you can help me, because I don't know even what to do.
So what can't you see?
Is it possible to share my screen?
Yeah, just a second. I think Reut, can you let her? I think.
Yeah, I did the multiple. You can share, Shayla.
So
Yeah.
I want to make a list of projects that I've monitored and have failed some parameters on the chemical side, and then also a list specifically on the microbiology side. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. And when I come here to kind of select what I want, this is all I see.
This means your internet is not good, your bandwidth is not enough. So just refresh the page. Try to refresh the page. When it was loading the page, it probably didn't load everything. So try to refresh. Try again. Go to column visibility. See? Now it's the
I want to make a list like what you had. I can see the parameters here. That's what I want to do so that I kind of extract an Excel.
okay. So now you're in forms, right? Do you want a forms? That's the first question you need to ask yourself. Do you want a project view or form view? Do you want a row for each project or a row for each form?
A row of each project.
Each project?
But it's showing forms filled, right?
Yeah, now it's
showing the
forms. So
last
if
form
you-
that was
if you
filled.
want,
Yes. Yes.
no, but when you're adding fields, do you want to see for each form? Do you want to see, for example, the total collie form of each form or of each project? The last one of each project.
The last one of each project.
Okay, so you need to go to here and you need to go to projects. Okay. And now you go to column visibility.
Ah,
Yeah, you select the project type. I mean the form type, yeah, the project type, yeah, water, form that you want, and this drop down.
I want the field monitoring.
Yeah. Field testing.
Yes, but for monitoring for completed projects.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And I want the parameters that failed.
yeah.
I want to see that as well as seconds. Okay, yeah. Oh, thank you. I hope it will do what I want.
Wait, you didn't move it, Sheila.
Sorry?
Go back. You
Yes?
didn't move it into your view. After you select everything, you
didn't do
have
what?
to, after you select what you want, you have to move it to the left by pressing this button.
Before I press modify, I have to move. I have to first do this one.
Yeah, now
Yes.
move it to the left. Now
And then
it was added to your view. Now you select modify.
Thank you, Sheila. It was a very good, like small thing that makes the difference.
yeah.
Very good case study.
Okay, now just if you want to save this, now it's in all projects. If you want to save it as your own view, you can save it as, or export it to Excel. So
But
in this case, Sheila, you're gonna have a row for each project, not each project that you sample. That's also a difference between projects and forms. Forms, you're gonna only have the projects that you have a form for. Here you have a row for each project of your country, and only
No,
by
I need a list of the ones that I've visited and the forms have been filled. Do I go to forms?
Sheila, you can look, you can see it in actually in the global view of. Can you go for the project of the water quality that we already built for you? I think it will be much easier.
Sorry?
Yes. Yes. Go for,
Wait.
This is all.
you don't have
I
the
don't-
water quality. You don't see the completed one.
Okay, just a second.
Okay, so this is a good one. Please make sure we have for the project 3 views. Water quality tracker, which we won't get into today because it's not ready yet. And then water quality, I'm talking about the project view. Water quality in process and water quality completed. Please check in your database that you see these 3 views.
Are these the ones you were mentioning, Rhodes, in process
No,
and completed, or it
please
should have?
refresh your page again, please. Okay, now enter here. So it's
Okay,
these views.
these 2. Okay,
3.
these 3.
And
So
the the tracker is not ready yet, but you should have it already.
okay, I just wanted to confirm that if I want to make changes, I'm opening this view, but then I can save it and then extract it, or I can't edit this one.
You can build off of this one. You can take this one, do whatever you want to it, and save it as your view if you want.
Save
Okay.
as. By save as, you save it for yourself. You cannot change it that everyone will see the changes. You cannot save this view, but like a new word, like you do save as, and it's a new kind of a view, like you do with Excel or with a Word document. So now when you go to the completed, you can see that you can already extract your wishes from this view, because you have the latest water field testing monitoring.
Yes. And how do I get it filled with all the parameters? Do I have to go to forms?
So this is a bit more complicated. This is for the lab. This is the lab result. Now, if you haven't had enough, breathe a little bit more. And we're going to explain you a little bit of why we cannot see the result of the field form.
Okay.
Water quality field form in this view. So, Shayla, if you can stop sharing and we can keep with the, yes, thank you.
Yeah, so if we go, so I hope this doesn't complicate things too much, okay? But in water quality specifically, field samples specifically, there's an issue. You can't see it on the database, and I'll explain why. Every project has several forms. But in field sampling, every field sampling form has several forms inside of it. It has subforms inside of it, because every time, I'll show you. Every field sample section like this is a form inside a form. So one might have 7 field samples, one might have 10 field samples, one might have 2 field samples in a form, and it's dynamic. So because it's another level down, every project has a form, every field sample form has multiple subforms. So it's another level that is only for you guys. And so I'll show you an example here. If I want to see a value in the parameter, okay, of field sampling, so like test value and parameter. Sorry, this is monitoring. Wait. Okay, let me try this. Um, okay, so like in projects, when I was in projects, I can't see all the forms because every project is a row. I can only see the last form. Okay. So in forms, I can only see the most recent parameter in value that was selected. So if I'm in this form, I will only see parameter total coliform, test value 0. I won't see all of these because I would need more columns. And David, I think you know this because we update your table. So I need to generate for you a report of all the field samples, basically. A report that I take all these subforms and put them in the same row. So you can have a similar table as you do for lab. I can show you. Leo, tell me if this is getting too complicated, but I can show you what we do for Tanzania. What's it called, David? Do you remember the spreadsheet?
Yeah, just 1 second. Let me check on my side.
Yeah, I also have it open actually. I will
MS
tell you.
MS water quality review. No. Yeah.
M and S. Yes.
Water quality review, I believe.
So instead of having a column parameter in value, I can pretty easily give you this this kind of table for field samples. That again, for every field sample that you take, you'll have one row. Like it's, for you guys, it's the same. It's as it's one form. Because this specific form is made of several forms, and I have to do something to give you this view. Okay. So we'll
I will just add here, if it's like when Tal means a subform, basically when you have in the field testing, when the form, you have drop down. You already know it. When you have a drop down, it's like a subform, and this is where it's complicated things. But in the lab, you actually have to fill parameter by parameter. And this is why we see it parameter by parameter. When you see the lab result, you can see it on the database. But for the field result, we don't see it in the database. And we have once in a few weeks, Tal will do this extraction for all of the countries. And once in 1 month, we hope we can discuss it together.
Yeah.
And
it's just a solution in the meanwhile, because we have to develop it from our side. I mean, eventually we do want this to just automatically generate in the database. Exactly, if you have project and forms, there's going to be a new subsection that you can just extract it easily, just in the same logic that I explained before. But in the meanwhile, because you're doing field samples already, and you need this information for your day-to-day, so I'm extracting it and putting it on a table for you.
So Shayla, Tal will, if you finished filling up all your field forms, so definitely Tal will extract it in the next few days. This is why I asked you in the global group to make sure that you filled up all the field forms, so we can ask Tal to extract it for us and see where we're standing. I didn't ask him yet because I wanted to make sure that all of you filled up all the forms, like that it's updated. Sorry, Tal. I don't know if I just cut you off.
No, I think I confused everybody enough for 1 hour. I'll just go over the main part of the database. You have projects, you have views, especially for you, that you can use. Okay, talking about what you're going to do most of the time on the database. You're going to go into the view and select which one you need, get any information you want. Okay, you can order by pressing the arrows. You can filter to whatever you need. Let's say you want a specific district. You can filter, and you have these action buttons that you can select each one of them. Excel, expose the Excel that you just made. Save as saves year view, especially for you. If you have your personal view, you can save the edits you need, and column visibility that you bring more information into the table. And forms is exactly the same. You have the same options, just here every row is a form. So before you use a database, it's important to think if you want every row to be a form or a project. And here again, you have all the forms and those that you would use, especially for you. So just want to kind of conclusion about the important part of this session. And yeah. Do you guys have any questions? Something that maybe I should say again that was unclear?
I have one question, and it is not based on today's lesson. And let's take this chance to say thank you. I've got much from what you have been discussing here. My question is to Rich, and it is about when we do pump testing. We normally visited by the community with some buckets needing water, and for current procedure, the pump testing is after borehole development, is after we call dosing of the borehole. My question is, from Reuti's view, is it okay to give such kind of water to the community, or we have to wait until we do commissioning and all that?
The question is for me, Abdallah?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I understand your question.
I was asking if you can give the community the water before doing commissioning for the project.
Yeah, and usually the time of pump testing, and that water at that time we have already done with borehole development and disinfection of the borehole. Is it okay to give the water to the community? Should we allow them to fetch water during that time?
To use the water during the construction, you mean? I try to understand, because we have like the pumping test, then we have the field results, like we have the field and the lab results, then we say, okay, go ahead for constructions. Then we have like the construction, the design, which take the few months, like the time it takes. And then by the end of it, we just do the last disinfection for the commissioning.
Maybe Raoult, if I add, I don't know if this will make it clearer, but after pumping test, even during pumping test, the community is fetching water. Already these are water scarce communities, they have no sources, and here we are just pouring the water to the ground. They usually fetch. Even when we go for like post-disinfection sampling, we have to pump almost 3 borehole volumes. During that time, before we take the post-disinfection sample, the community is collecting the water. Even construction is not yet even in the picture, not yet even being in design stage, but should we continue allowing the community to take the water during that time? Because even here in Uganda, people have been fetching. Maybe moving forward, should we stop, or I don't know what you think. Thank you.
Okay, so this is already not a database question, but we can discuss it, definitely. I would like to discuss it. I just want, maybe we can stay after that to discuss it. I just want, if you have, we will answer it. I will have my what I think about it, but let's just, if you have question on the database specifically for TAL.
Okay, I think you can stop the recording.
So,
Okay.
David, do you have a question?
so yeah, it's a, I was filling the ball supervision form the other day for the new balls that I disinfected, and I noticed that there's no provision. I mean, there's a provision, but you cannot go and pick the name of the individual who performed because that's one amongst the questions, like who performed the disinfection, but there are no names yet. So
again, I didn't understand. In the borehole supervision form?
yeah, so there is no provision, at least for Tanzania. I do not know for the other ones, but there's a provision for who performed disinfection. Like when you click, you're supposed to have a list of individuals and go and check your name, and there is no one in the list is empty still.
We fixed this. You need to sync your app. Once you sync
I
your
need to
app,
sync it? Yeah.
yes. I'll just make it clear. I'll just make it clear again that the app is offline. So every once in a while, you need to sync. Whenever you sync, you get all the newest information. So for example, there was a problem there. You couldn't select a user. We fixed it. Now you need to sync, and now you can select a user.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I just remembered one more thing because I realized it today. Okay, there's a new InnoApp version, and one of the capabilities of it is that you can, when you upload a document, it goes to the Google Drive. Okay. So when you have in a form, you can upload a document, it goes into the Google Drive. And today I realized, or yesterday, that the water quality lab sample is the first form that you can upload a document. Okay, it's the first form in a row that you can upload a document. But what does that mean? I'll just show you. Again, if I'm in projects, see, this is Google Drive. Let me go to all projects. Okay, I can add a link to a project to its Google Drive, but not all projects have them. Okay, so you might get an error when you try to upload a document that it doesn't know where to go because it doesn't have a link on the database. It's a one-time link that you need to put in, that you or your country directors or your country managers need to put in. And then after you sync the app, of course, the project is connected to a Google Drive. So I'll just because this is coming up mostly from water quality specialist or hydrogeologist, I'll show you on the InnoApp support. Okay, you might see, second. You might see this error when you submit a form. Report drive not configured for this project. This means that on the database, your project is not connected to a Google Drive, and you guys are probably the first one trying to upload a document. And you might get this error. So of course you can come to me and I'll help you. But what I'll be doing is go to the Google Drive, take the link and add it to the database, and then you'll be able to do so. So you don't need me. I'm here to help you, but just for you guys to know that you can do it yourselves, or your managers can do it. Link the Google Drive to the project. I hope that was clear.
So for my previous projects that I've already filled the lab, the water quality lab form, I can just upload the file and it goes to the drive. Or do I need a link to paste a link in the provision?
someone, either you or your manager, needs one time to link it through the database. In this, almost every view has a column called
I would just say that you don't need to go to all projects, that it's already these two columns, the Google Drive and the project micro view is already on the view of water quality in process and completed.
Right, they're almost in every view, these two columns.
So we don't need to look far away. It's already on the view.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
And when you link to a project, you link to the, I'll give you an example just so there's no confusion. Okay, if I'm going to Drive. Okay, it's a very specific link. You go to, let's say, Tanzania. What is it? Projects. Can't find it.
Projects, yeah.
The region, water projects. And let's say it's this village. Okay, this is the link that you want for the project. You take this link and you put it, for example, here. You paste it. It wasn't this project, but maybe I'll just do it for one. Chilwana is Tanzania. Okay, Chilwana. So I'll go look for it.
David, do you remember which district it is?
Yeah, it's not Kondoa, it's
Yeah, it's
Paisodoma.
in Chamwino. It's in Chamwino. Yeah.
In which one?
Chamwino,
Yeah.
Chamwino, yeah. Yep.
It's a water project.
Yeah.
Which project?
So,
Chilwana.
there, yeah.
This one. I copy. And sorry, moving around here, but paste. That's it. Okay, then I can either go to the drive from the link directly, and every document I upload will go to that link. Okay, if there's no link, it has nowhere to go. It's going to send you an error, and like I said, you can contact me, but basically you can fix it yourself. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And about Abdallah's question, I'll just give my personal point of view. Like, water quality is philosophical in Africa, in my opinion. We're coming to communities that drink very poor water, and we're going to a lab that might come back with 10 cauliflowers, which is over the national limit. Is 10 cauliflowers 100 times better than what they drank before? I think so. Can we give them the water according to the country? No. So, like, and I think that, Abdallah, you should